then we start again.
Cool.
Mateus Asato.
E aí, Kiko? What's up?
Here we are in, I know I'm going to start this interview with my friend Mateus Asato, well known in Brazil as Mateus Asato, and we have a large Brazilian audience, and they will kill us because we're going to speak English.
Yeah.
Because we're doing this video for spreading the Brazilian culture.
Yeah.
And then we need to do this in English, right?
Yeah.
And then if you hate that, I will put do the work for you that doesn't speak English. I'm gonna do the work to put subtitles. But if you hate the fact that we're speaking English now, you can just hate us. Just put in the comments. But yeah, maybe at the end we chat in Portuguese a little bit because it's gonna be fun. Palmeiras não tem mundial and all these things.
Okay, I think that's the end of the interview.
We are here in this large room at the Marriott Hotel, Anaheim, for the Jump at Fruity Guitar Universe
Camp.
Universe 3.0 Guitar Camp. First event since for me, since February 2020. I was doing a tour in Europe just before the pandemic. And but I want to, I want first to hear about your story and how we met and how you became like such a iconic guitar player at such a young age.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I'm 27.
27.
Getting old, baby.
And yeah, good. I remember.
So when you were 27, you already had like the Holy Land.
27. What's one time? Let me think. I have to think. Yeah, 27. 99. Yeah, I recorded Angel's Cry,
Dang.
Holy Land, and Fireworks. And I was like touring with Fireworks 99, doing some tours and stuff.
Okay.
27. Yeah, good times. And but we met. We met in 2013 in MI.
Actually, a little bit before that, 2012. So you went
in LA?
Yeah, you were in LA, and I was. I mean, I'm just saying that because
You remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. Besides the fact I used to go to all your guitar clinics in my hometown, Brazil.
Campo Grande, the big field.
Big field.
Big field. Yeah, I remember going there. I remember those clinics there, like in a big theater.
Yeah, like amphitheater. Yeah.
Like a school, like a lot of people. That was cool. Like a big school, right? Or like
big school. Yeah. Good memory, man. Yeah. But yeah, so besides that, the fact that I used to watch you all the time. That whenever you went there. So we met in 2012. It was right at the first time that I came to the United States. So I came to the United States just to visit the school.
Oh, really?
So I spent it was like mid of November.
The lunch with
when we had the lunch with Phil at Bossa Nova.
Got it.
And
yeah, 2012. Late 2012.
And you wanted to talk to him regarding how is living here in LA and blah blah blah. And this is when we had that meal at Bossa Nova.
So how old were you there?
I was 18.
18?
Yeah, I was 18. But then, when did you move to LA?
Was like there, like
around
late
that age?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
Okay, so and then I moved to LA finally in March 24th of 2013, and so the reason why I moved to the United States was to study music at Musicians Institute.
Which was always my dream when I was young, to go there, because but you have to pay in dollar and that's very expensive. It's I couldn't afford,
what was the...
But back in the days, 80s, this was so difficult to think about the trip, living in another country with no internet, your parents wouldn't like much the idea of like sending you to another place.
Was like any player in specific that kind of like wanted make you to go to MI or what?
Well, Scott Henderson.
Scott Henderson.
And then I remember, Paul Gilbert.
Yeah,
because
Paul.
I think he was a teacher or a student.
He was a student.
He was a student, then a teacher.
Right after, yeah.
So the thing, the whole LA thing, MI, the Scott Henderson, Paul Gilbert.
Yeah.
And I remember like watching the videos from Joey Giorio. You know, the jazz player. I think he was the chair
of the guitar program.
Guitar program, back then. Saw those videos and stuff, but of course the whole LA scene with Steve Vai, California, Jason Becker and Mark Friedman with Jason Becker, Satriani, Vai, the whole LA scene,
It's crazy how things changed because for me, like, of course, I always knew that MI was a great place for, if you wanted to become a sideman musician and, like, kind of, grow up in a career perspective. But my go-to guitar player icons, like the historical, like, was because of John Frusciante and oh my gosh, what's Sinister Gates from Avenged Sevenfold.
Right.
So those two players were actually like the ones I was like, man, they were part of MI, so I kind of want to go there as well.
Oh, okay.
It's just crazy how things changed.
A bit different, but just...
John Frusciante, according to what they told us, they were there for like a week or like a month.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just like that. And I believe Sinister Gates was for a little longer. But anyway.
So then you start studying at MI, and then you just became a sensation, and like in a year or two.
Well,
but you were doing the Instagram, YouTube videos.
Yeah, that was actually a little before I joined MI. I'm from Campo Grande, and my city is pretty much not well known for like guitar-driven music.
It's like sertanejo.
Yeah, it's pretty much
it's like the country, the
Brazilian country,
the Brazilian redneck or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it?
So we
sertanejo, we call it.
Yeah, we have that type of music, which is definitely not guitar-driven at all. So for me, it was like, okay, if I don't see that in reality, for a career perspective, so I gotta find some different sources of it, and that was right after all these Brazilian guitar players started showing up on YouTube, which was like Zelzinho, Jimmy Oliveira, or Gustavo Guerra, and because of that, I was like, wow, this is good.
I need to do YouTube.
I need to start making my own videos. And I actually, I was remembering these days, I remember, Orkut, like the Brazilian
Orkut.
social media. I remember asking Gustavo about, hey man, what's the interface you use? Because I have no clue how to, make the sound, and have that kind of thing. So the recording stuff. But anyway, so I started a little bit before joined MI. And that was always a good source for me because, again, like that situation of having just this Brazilian type of music was not appropriate for me to stipulate a career.
Like in the middle of Brazil, you're listening to Avenged Sevenfold.
It doesn't happen very well. So anyway, so
then you decided to go to the United States and California.
Yeah.
Already doing some videos, and then.
It wasn't
pretty fast, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't like pretty much like that. About I wanted to play guitar, and then I want to become a professional musician. So I started more like I kind of wanted to become a doctor.
Okay, that's a good point because a lot of people. I mean, I suffered a lot, in like when I was. Suffer a lot, but no, I kind of had my struggles like deciding. When I was 18, 19, like I was playing guitar, every day, many hours, like living, having bands and stuff, and then, man, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have a family or to buy a house one day or have a car or something because I don't know if it's possible to live as a musician. And then I think this is like a fear that other music students somehow they're afraid of the living,
the living style of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So I went to doing a university for almost 2 years, biology, and then
biology.
And then it's like, okay, I'm gonna play guitar, but it was very hard to decide. So for you, it was hard as well.
It was, because I also had to deal with my dad's controversial point where he was not much supportive in the beginning. I mean, he was supportive, but more in a way like, yeah, of course, it's nice.
You should do art, music, but not as a profession.
Yeah,
kind
more
of thing,
as like
right?
a hobby, an extra activity. So I know I was like very grateful for having, the opportunity to meet Juninho Afran, a Brazilian guitar player.
Juninho.
He's like my mentor, one of my biggest references. And also I had the opportunity to participate of this guitar contest in Brazil in 2010, organized by Sidney Carvalho and Alex Martinho. Two great guitar players as well. So what happened, I ended up winning that contest, and as soon as the contest ended, Sidney approached me and he was like, hey Mateus, I know you're in the middle of high school, so I was 16 back then, in this very important season where I had to decide which job occupation I wanted to follow, and I was pretty much going, deep for like this medical school kind of way, to become a doctor. And then he was like, I totally see you have this big potential, talent to do well in music, so I would recommend you to spend some time in California at Musicians
He did
Institute.
MI, Sidney. Sidney is a common friend, like a great friend of ours.
So he recommended that.
Wise words, right?
And he said
the same thing. So he could see your talent right away.
He was like, he was saying, Alex and I did MI, and I believe you have to do it as well. Just give a shot, because this could be a very unique opportunity for you. Cool. So after those words, I kind of, came back home with a different mindset. So I came to talk to my parents, and I had to convince them a little bit, but that was a little bit easier because after winning a guitar contest, it's kind of like, because my dad is the Japanese side, and so I'm half Japanese and half Brazilian. Asato-san. So having that, achievement with me was kind of like a good advantage. So I remember coming back home and I was like, so I want to become a professional musician. So that kind of, helped me a little bit to convince them. And so since 2010, I was, more committed to make music, and it took 3 years for me to go to MI, but we ended up going it, and it was great. I spent 2 years studying at Musicians Institute. It was a great period of my life. I know some of them don't have some controversial things about, my time at MI wasn't good, but to me, I only have good things to say about it, and because I could make a lot of good connections, and even like the opportunity to meet you, to become more, closer to you and some other players. So it was very great. So I just pretty much kept my virtual content going on. So because I was making videos back then when I was in Brazil, so I just pretty much follow up, but in a better and deeper approach, I would say, because I started using the social media now living in LA as like a normal, like a regular journal, like a diary, so every day I remember like you would recording something and post something about, hey guys, so this is what I learned today about.
But you were not talking, so I want to ask you about this.
Not talking. Yeah.
So I think that was a very smart thing that you did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the sense that was natural for you, and then you have always to use your best talents, and then maybe you were super shy to talk, and and I was so shy as well when I started, and I couldn't You know, it took 20 years for me to be able to speak in front of the camera, I would say.
Yeah.
So this didn't, you know, being shy didn't block you to be on social media, which is very interesting because a lot of people, they're shy to go and say, you know, something on Instagram, but you found like the perfect way to express yourself with your music.
Yeah.
And then maybe it was like 30 seconds or 15 seconds, like Instagram, like in the beginning, right? It was like, was not a 1 minute, right? It was like shorter, and you could like do like an amazing piece of music in that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? You don't agree?
It was like 15 seconds.
So.
Well, no.
15 seconds, like this amazing piece of music in 15 seconds. And then one thing that I tell to, you know, whenever I talk about you, it's like Mateus has like an artistic eye to everything. It's not only about the music, right? Because it's not. You're saying like, I was doing a journal and showing the licks that I learned at MI, and then it was not this.
Yeah, it was.
Like it was like you have like you knew how to angle the camera,
how to manage
to
look
nice, beautiful. It's a beautiful frame,
Yeah.
the way you put it, the whole thing, right? And then that 15 seconds, you just like, that's like the best thing, you know, giving to people like the best thing you have, right? Like, you know, the highlight of the chorus of the song, you know, the hook of the song.
Yeah.
So instead of having the 3-minute song, I would say, with a lot of stuff, but everybody waits for the hook or for the chorus.
Yeah.
You just saw, here's the chorus.
Here's the
hook, and enjoy 15 seconds of hook. And then that's the way I see your art, by the way. So, and then you have the 15 seconds and then another 15 seconds. Then you have this mosaic of hooks and beautiful things that create your album or create your concept or create like Mateus' music in those, you know, small stuff.
This is nice.
That builds, is like a mosaic, right? And then you have like Mateus' face in this minutes of 15
thumbnails.
So yeah, because it's like, okay, I do an album, it's 1 hour, 15 minutes. So it's like 50 posts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like 50 posts of 1 minute, like 15 minutes. So you were doing this with a very beautiful artistic eye, right? In your room there.
Yeah, in my apartment.
In your apartment. And then the guitar tone was amazing. The different guitars you're using, the themes, and then anything you were very, very specific. Not, I don't remember you writing a lot of stuff. It was just like a small
like
comment
captions and stuff.
So it's like, okay, you enjoy the art, and then you just enjoy the way you perceive this.
You don't need to listen to me
you
to talk.
You don't listen. Yeah, you don't need to read or I want to say or stuff like that. And I think, I don't know if it was. That's my question now. Are you aware of this? Was just a natural thing?
Yes and no, because at first I used to write like the longest captions ever, trying to explain my feelings. Because again,
you were lonely there, right? In a way,
I was
like no
by
family
myself, no family, so everything kind of had this nostalgic way of feeling it. So
Palmeiras was never winning anything, and then
Palmeiras back then was
like the soccer team
very
from São Paulo.
Trash. Yeah, we were like
so you're always
facing
crying.
bad, super difficult times.
All right, anyway.
But yes, it was hard, you know. And again, like I had to face this because my English was pretty bad. I remember, like, you know, we have like
as a normal
English,
Brazilian,
exactly. Like we have English in like, you know, like secondary and like high school,
like
mid
nobody
school,
cares. Like
but nobody
the
gives
book
a
is
crap.
on the table, kind of.
You know,
I
wasn't even like a fan of those guys who want to go to Disneyland kind of thing. You know, when you turn 15, I was like, yeah, man, that's not for me.
Yeah, don't tell me.
You know what I mean?
I hated my English teachers, man.
Yeah,
so
you know,
annoying.
those
I hated
things.
like those English classes. But anyway, that's another conversation.
So when I had this opportunity, I was like, yeah, cool. But anyway, I was dealing with a lot of that. So at first, it was very like nostalgic, super emotional driven. But little by little, like gradually, I start to kind of like understand how like the Instagram was kind of the flow of Instagram, and I just realized how the less you explain and the more you could express what you want to say into like your content, the better. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
Well, let the music speak. for
exactly.
itself.
So
No.
gradually, I was like, okay, less words and more of like what I'm really here for it, which was, you know, my music pieces. Little by little, I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of see how this is going. But well, thanks for saying that, because I remember last year when we had that conversation after like me getting all this music hiatus situation.
I called you.
Yeah, you
It's
called
like-
me, and
Yeah.
you said about this perspective about how you saw my art, and this is actually nice because again, like art, it's not only specific about this type of thing, but you know, contains a bunch of different stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And the way how you say in a mosaic way, it's just so interesting to see it, and I feel very appreciated, and. Yeah, so actually.
Yeah, because you know, I know that I know probably people say like, oh, you know, you should have an album, or you should do a show. It's like people say like, oh, but some guys are only on Instagram, they don't play live. Like, it's a new thing. You know, some people play live, some people play at home. And then in your case, you were playing at home, and then you went like to the biggest artists to play live, and then it's just another, it's a new way of doing, and then people has to understand it. Some people don't accept because they're not there. I don't know what's the problem.
It's still hard for me, to be honest, but
what?
The thing what you said about for me to accept that, because again I was just doing that so much that I kind of got in like a crisis where I was like, dang it. Like what is like, because to me nothing beats the physical interaction. It's just like being here, like seeing you playing, like the way how like your hand moves and you do the vibrato is totally different when I'm like seeing your videos on screen. It's just there is energy about it.
Of course, you know.
So no,
like,
and again, it's
we need interaction.
We do need that.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that if you do your art through the virtual world, the art is depreciated.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that, but of course, if you can, like we're doing here,
blend both worlds,
if
that's
you can do
the
both,
best.
I think that's the best, because being on stage is also like a great experience for the audience and for the artist too. But of course, that's kind of the thing that I like to do, which is going on stage. Yeah. And then I like to go on stage because it's difficult for me to do the internet stuff, and then I had to do more and more to get used to the thing, you know, because if you don't know that, but in the 90s doing a show, if you see somebody filming, the security guy would get
catch the camera,
no filming, no filming
like what Axl did.
Yeah, so it's like it was a completely different concept. Like nobody can film because these people is gonna bootleg the concert, whatever.
Yeah,
it was always like this, and suddenly you have this decade, like the 2000s, something between, because the phones were not filming, but people had the digital cameras already. It was easier to have a small camera to film, so it's kind of something between. Then with the social media, suddenly you want the people to film you because it's a way to promote your stuff, right?
That is true.
Right, so it was it's a shift. Mm-hmm. So you came in this new world,
thing,
so that's interesting.
But I feel very blessed for having the chance to have the experience of the both scenarios, because
then you played with Tori Kelly, and Bruno Mars.
It was Tori, Jessie J, and Bruno Mars. But just to grabbing that point you mentioned about posting my stuff on Instagram, so I kept posting, and again, in person,
like how many times? Like once a week?
It wasn't something very, very established, but it was at least like 2 to 3 times a week, you know, and especially like finding those best times. It was probably like something in the the beginning of the week, then middle of the week, and then end of the week, something like that. And
that for a year.
Yeah, more than that. Like,
more than that.
Probably like until I start touring with Tori. So I kind of use the Instagram as an advantage because again, I'm pretty bad at introducing myself to others and be like, hey, for example, like for me to get in touch with Stig Matheson, the ex guitar director of MI, I didn't have enough confidence to go like, hey, Stig, this is Mateus, I come from Brazil and I'm a student here. So the way how he met me was through that, you know, Facebook, Instagram videos that I posted. And then he, you know, I remember like he saw me in school and he was like, hey dude, I've been watching your stuff and congrats, you're doing great, let's grab some coffee.
Yeah, Stig
was
amazing,
like,
He was an amazing player, by the way.
Oh yeah, awesome.
So where
Hi, Stig.
Yeah.
So that was great. So let me just connect the points of it. So after meeting Stig, we just start, you know, developing this relationship, and Tori Kelly was looking for a guitar player. And back in the days, in 2013, when she was looking for a guitar player, her musical director was this guy named Dory Lobel, who is also a guitar player, but his main job is playing guitar for American Idol. Sorry, The Voice. The Voice, the TV show. And okay, so Dory was a MI student back in, you know, like early 2000s anyway. So he called the chair of the guitar program and he was like, hey Stig, we're looking for a guitar player and do you have any recommendations?
And then he said,
and Stig mentioned my name and another Swedish guitar player. And we had to go for the audition.
But the Brazilians are awesome. So
yeah, you know, and thankfully things worked out. But what I'm just trying to say is just because of those little mosaics, I like it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, like Stig watched my videos, and then we became friends, and then he got me the connection, and I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah.
And I remember another thing. So when I did the audition for Tori was not there. But we had to fill up all these things about, you know, information, blah, 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 passports, and also our social media. And I remember when Tori picked me as her guitar player, like the first time we met, she was like, hey, nice meeting you. And like, I loved the things you've been posting on Instagram. They look great.
Okay, yeah.
So that was kind of like it was becoming like more like of a compliment, something that really like attached
because it has
to me.
this artistic thing. It's not only the skill, the guitar skills. It's more than that. Yeah. So where do you think you got that? You know.
Well, again, it was I just remember leaving everyday school, like getting so inspired by watching so many players all the time, because you know.
But don't you think it's prior to that?
It could be, but
because you see some people like they don't even know how to, you know, put the camera in a nice position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have like everything was like
well
done.
It was probably,
you know, with the equipment that you have, because you didn't have a crew, anything. You're doing by yourself.
Yeah.
And then so there's an artistic sense for everything you do.
Interesting.
It can be your logo, can be the filming, the music, the guitar tone, the whatever you write.
Yeah.
There's always an artistic thing, very artistic, and with the conceptual, there's something that is much more than a guitar player normally do.
Now that you're saying that, I'm kind of like start to remember.
It's like a band.
Things.
A band has that. You know, there's a lot of bands and musicians. They have this. They might be like a average player, but they know how to create like the cool logo and a nice concept for a band, and how people dress, and how it's going to be the stage presence, and the whole thing. And then it's like, wow, that's like a great band. So you have that since the beginning, and then.
I think that was
were you like interested in whatever, in
so now
photography, movie, I don't know, like watching the Akira Kurosawa, and like I see the the scenes, how something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
I was. Yeah, you're right. I was very into like videography, more videography than photography. Now I'm getting more into photography than videography. But back in the days, I was always like, dude, it's just very nice and pleasurable to watch those videos, and I was very into technology again, like from I have also 2 other brothers, and I'll probably was like
younger or?
I'm the middle one, but I was probably like the most into technology, like all into like the games and other stuff. So anyways, I kind of like believe that kind of helped me a little bit to create this artistic feel, and also
different perspective.
The fact that I grew up in a church that has a really nice technology structure, let's just put it that way. So because so I grew up playing in a church,
screens and stuff,
and they had like a nice streaming service. So I was
back then when you were young?
Back then when like was 13, 12 when I started playing in my church. So I was always seeing cameras all the time. Because while we were playing, there were already like someone like filming it, and I was like, of course, I started becoming friends with the video guys as well. So little by little, I was like, oh, so this is how it works. Interesting. And
you see, something like because then people probably don't know, but I did the JTC thing in your apartment.
Yeah, dude, this is awesome. People need to know that.
If you go to Mateus' video, any video, you're gonna see like some kind of a brown sofa or something.
The IKEA one.
And then if you watch my video, the JTC, it's the same sofa. It's like
it's the same
Kiko
one,
has the same sofa. No, actually, I'm in Mateus' place.
Yeah, this is actually when we really like start talking to each other.
Because my daughter was like 1 year old.
Was so young, right?
And there's like I need to go to another place, maybe rent a studio or something to do this thing, and then you're there, and you were about to go. You went to Brazil, so the apartment is gonna be empty for a month. It's like, you can do that. It's like perfect.
This is legendary, dude.
Yeah.
Because like I always remember like when you
can see the sofa there. So like a little, just a little tiny corner of the sofa. It's a Mateus sofa.
I remember like
where's the sofa?
The sofa, I have no clue, to be honest, because I got rid of my apartment. So, but it was crazy because I remember I felt so bad because you have to do the Gentrack Central thing in my apartment. But I was probably not too much organized back then, maybe a little lazy or too busy because I was going to, somewhere. And I kind of left the place very messy. And I remember you leaving the apartment and like, yo, man, the place was a little messy, so I kind of like cleaned it up a little bit. I remember like you took a picture of like 2 bags of trash. So this is what I got.
No, but I think it was the water thing.
Was it the water?
That's what I remember.
Okay. And I was like, dang,
the guy plays like you have like massive
water, so much, so much waste.
It's like,
man.
You don't need to, so many, the plastic.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't you buy just like a 5-gallon? Something like that, like those little tiny.
I know.
Anyways,
but that was
there's a comment that I remember, like because, but that's a comment that sometimes I do in the U.S. because people use so much plastic. Food comes in this plastic in the plastic cups. There's so much plastic.
But that was a great moment. Yeah. So if you go check Kiko's Gentrack Central stuff. It's actually in my apartment. Find the sofa, and you're probably gonna relate that.
That's funny. Yeah.
So man, this is how I got my first gig.
So that's artistic thing of the church. I think that was very important for you.
That's my church's fault.
Very important for you to have to learn without even taking photography classes or just being there. And it's very important to be in a. Or did you have some?
No, I did not. But what happened was, even like back in the days when I just started making my videos, I gradually started developing the quality as well. So I got the help from my friends from church who were working in the video department. So little by little, they were helping me about like, yo, man, let's just get a better editing. I can help you out. I can help you out with my camera, and so that was like.
But the guy's going to the apartment or just like
No, so from church, so like as soon as we left
US.
in the no,
this
in Brazil,
still.
like before
Okay,
2013, like
see.
we were
So they're
hanging
helping
out
them.
and they were just like coming up with ideas about let's do this and that. So getting involved in the production, it's kind of cool to me. I really liked it.
Basically, the best way to learn is doing. So
pretty much.
So like you try to do it, and then probably gonna suck at first.
Yeah.
And then you ask somebody that is better than you, and then they give you one tip, then you apply the tip, and then you're better, and then you ask another tip, and then maybe
like the angles and color
because
correction.
It was always good what you did. Always like. Oh,
well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, and of
Good
course,
stuff.
things gets a little easier in the U.S. with all the resources that we have. Like, it's way much easier to find like lightings to help you out.
Yeah.
And of course, we also I remember having like classes of how to, get this independent thing to promote yourself on social media at MI, which helped me a little bit as well. But
what's the most difficult thing to go on? So you're like in a bedroom doing your videos and student, and suddenly you're playing with Tori Kelly or Jessie J, like big situation. I believe Jessie J is even bigger than Tori Kelly. I have no idea, to be honest.
I think so. Tori is bigger here in America, but Jessie is probably in a bigger concept. I think Jessie, people knows more about who Jessie J is because she's huge in South America and also Europe and Asia as well.
I see. So that suddenly from your bedroom, the rented apartment in LA alone, you went to like this massive concerts, and so how does that feel? Like before the concert or for the first rehearsal?
Well, the first rehearsal was a pain because again, I wasn't familiar with playing R&B stuff.
Oh, I see.
And her songs are very like Lauryn Hill inspired by, and kind of has a little bit of this John Mayer thing, but it's like just the tip of the iceberg. So it was different. I had to get adapted all the time, and I remember like struggling a lot with playing.
So how about the confidence to do that?
Oh, that was a little hard because all the guys. I was 20 when I joined Tori's band, about to turn 21, and all the boys were already like 26.
Okay.
Over
some experience already.
And they all played for all these other singers like JoJo and Jennifer Lopez and Israel Houghton, all like pro players. And I was like, dang it, it's my first gig, guys, But thankfully, Tori was so nice to me because we were like very close, like age. She's like 1 year older than me, so we were like kind of like brother and sister. So she was very understanding, and also, I believe Tori is probably one of the nicest singers and celebrities in this scenario, honestly, because she was super chill, like very attached to the band as well. It wasn't that thing of like, oh, you guys are my band and I'm the artist, like that separation, that bridge, the bridge was always there. So anyways,
she was comfortable.
It was comfortable, and I was always asking for help and being
for the guys.
Yeah, especially the drummer. He was always saying like, bro, this R&B thing, it's not about playing on time much. It's more like you gotta play a little bit laid back. And I was like, but how do I play that? And he was saying just like, it's more like a feel thing. It's a little bit behind the beat, so you have to understand, the right thing to do it. So I got just a lot of recommendations of what to listen and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'll probably say the first 6 months with Tori was like a big period of learning and trying to understand how things,
Yeah. Then the Jessie J, you were already kind of experienced. Then
it was a little easier.
And then playing with Bruno Mars was one concert?
No, it was a 1 week.
Week
with Bruno.
Okay.
So Fred, his current guitar player at the Hooligans, his wife was about to have a baby, and he couldn't make this Las Vegas residency concerts. So he hit me up and was like, dude, you're gonna be the first guy to join the Hooligans because we don't like doing that thing. So I was like, okay, cool.
Cool.
But it was great in a way of like, I was already mature enough to understand how gigs work, but it was probably the trickiest one because it was kind of like what do you have to deal with Megadeth, because we didn't have any rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
So I pretty much...
Well, the band was ready. It was just you, the new guy, right?
The band was playing the show for more than like a year and a half. And I remember asking him like, bro, okay, I would love to do it, but two things. First question, are we gonna have any rehearsals for that? And he said right away, no. And second question was, do I have to dance like you guys? And he was like, no, really, but don't stress out about it because...
Did you dance in there?
Well, I did like 2 or 3 things,
okay, cool.
But of course, it
right.
probably looked horrible.
Can we find those videos in the internet?
Well,
hey guys,
you cannot.
The link below.
Because what happened, like when Bruno do that residency in Las Vegas, he asks, it's mandatory to no phones allowed.
Okay.
Because in Vegas, well, I do have, so what happened was, so as soon as I finished playing with Bruno, I kind of announced that on my Instagram, and I said, well, unfortunately, this is the only memory you guys could see of me playing with Bruno, which was just a picture with me and the boys. And I said, no phones were allowed during the concerts. Then this crazy guy hit me on Instagram and be like, yo, bro, so I got 2 phones and I just gave one of them. And I could record some of the stuff. And I was like, bro, I would pay for you to send me that. Could you? And then he sent me a couple of files. So the quality is not as good as I wish it was, but still, I do have memories, like finally, like, visual memories of what I did. So you could find some pieces. It's actually on my YouTube channel. You could check it out. Yeah, so Bruno Mars was the trickiest because I didn't have time to rehearse. And that was right after finishing Tori Kelly's tour. So I had I think 5 days to prepare.
I see.
To have 17
and then
songs.
What about your solo stuff? So you did Asia, you were playing solo stuff, right? That was after or in between?
No, so when I did, you're talking about my own project, going.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of that started in 2016 when Tori decided to have a break for her own, time and whatever, and this is when I got this opportunity to go to South Korea to do this clinic, which was a very interesting fact because at first I was not like, dude, I don't want to do clinics, man, that they're boring or whatever. And my manager was kind of pushing me and being like, you should do it because that could give you a different perspective. You could start your side project. But I was just kind of in a comfort zone playing with Tori because I was just there with her for more than a year and life was great, making finally, my money and good. But then I accept the invite. I went to South Korea and did my first clinic there. It was for 500 people. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Cool. And that's all Instagram fault as well because a good thing about Instagram, a very positive thing I would say, is just it creates a curiosity on people's heart or soul to check how is this person live. Yeah. So that would pretty much happen.
Is that real?
Exactly. They're like, oh yeah, we've seen you on Mateus' bedroom. So now
it's like John Petrucci when he introduced you on stage. He said, Mateus is real.
Yeah,
he said something
he can
that.
play or
he's not a real person. He's here. It's not. But everybody knows you watching
just from that
from the Instagram, right? And then you're here, But you were watching through the lens of this camera, so. But I have the pleasure to be.
I'm real. My hair is real. But yeah, so that was great. So after having that experience of this guitar clinic / concert, which was also another thing, I was expecting to be something like this, where I couldn't have to wear a strap and just everybody's gonna be sitting down, but they actually rented a venue and it was just like
in Asia they do
and I couldn't
stuff.
Oh man, it was crazy. I didn't have a strap back then, but anyways, it's just a detail.
But the guitar nerd stuff now,
But that started in 2016, and that opened my mind to, whoa, I should work a little bit more on this.
I have a question about style for you, for the guitarists here.
Okay.
What did you reject and said, no, I don't want to play this to find your style?
Probably like the shred atmosphere, the shred universe, unfortunately.
So, yeah, I kind of knew that answer. I would expect that answer because you were very young, like playing the Dream Theater and stuff, right?
Well, listening to you, like you and Juninho, Edu, like the three major guitar players in Brazil. That's how I grew up listening to you. And then
so at some point, just like, I like this, but I don't want to be that.
It was more like a frustration, honestly.
Oh, really?
Because I could see you guys shredding, and I could get that shred thing. No, for real though. Like, but it's just like
you were doing this when he was one of those like 10 years old guys, like playing all the angry stuff.
Yeah, I could
right?
get like playing that, but
9 years old.
But it was just like, maybe frustration is a little too deep to say, but I just got in a way that I was just like, man, this guy's already played all that stuff. Like, what am I? There's no space for me, especially like after watching Guthrie. And when Guthrie showed up, I was like, man, there's nothing else to do. Because it was just so innovative and everything was just so well played that I was like, it was extremely inspirational, but at the same time I was like, man, I don't think there's much more else to go. It's kind of like playing, I mean, nothing against like new blues players, but like after Steve Ray or I don't know, Bonamassa, or, we could find like Philip Sace doing some kind of different things, but it's so complicated. Like the variety just gets so, minimal. And what I tried to do was, thankfully I got introduced to John Mayer's music.
I see.
And that was, I don't know, 2000.
So that was a big change.
It was. It's like, the three marks in my music history is like knowing you guys, Kiko, Juninho, Edu, and I'm not saying that because I'm in front of you. This is like really like the beginning of it. And then the second mark is knowing John Petrucci. And the third, game-changing, it was John Mayer. So after listening to John Mayer and knowing a little bit about, how this sounds, and then finding out that John Mayer's influences were Steve Ray and Jimi Hendrix, then I realized and I found a space of like, well, I could explore this in a way, and I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, I'm like the continuation of that, but it's just like, there's a little more, like I could use what I've learned from you guys in the shred universe.
Because you have a way better technique in this way.
And then add on this Jimi Hendrix where like the feel is more like driven, if that makes any sense. Like it's more about like how you like commit like some type of rhythm, you know what I mean?
But you have something that I when I hear your music, I think comes from Brazil. Do you think you have a Brazilian music influence?
Not as you, like
No.
the real Brazilian. Oh yeah, well I grew up.
Besides the, you mentioned like the guitar players, but like more
I grew up.
traditional?
No, not traditional. Well,
Or even the radio stuff?
But radio for sure, like Roupa Nova, because my dad, that was like my dad was used to listen all the time.
So
like,
at home, so what's the music in your house?
It was Roupa Nova, it was Incríveis, like more like the Velha Guarda kind of thing. What else? I mean, you guys.
Roupa Nova is like the Toto
of Brazil,
kind of,
so super romantic driven, but well, it's more like, dang it, Roupa Nova, Skunk.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the
Skunk
pop
was more
rock
like
kind of-
a pop thing going on, and a lot of like the church, like
church.
Brazilian gospel stuff, and Angra, Oficina G3. Oficina G3 was like pretty much like, whoa, I want to get into music after listening to Juninho's, but
So no, I think
not as crazy like as, for example, you like with João Gilberto and all these guys.
But you have something that I believe is Brazilian, which is the sense of harmony, because you talk about Steve Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, Steve Ray Vaughan, right?
Yeah.
Or even John Mayer.
Yeah.
It's much simpler that we play. It may technically or stylistic is kind of the same.
Yeah.
But you have like those special chords or special transitions that I believe, or it comes from the Brazilian music because Brazilian music has that, and Brazilian music, even skunk, has that flavor because the Minas
that's true.
style, and somehow it's there in the Brazilian music. Maybe you got from
I think
from
it's probably
Angra,
from church.
Dream Theater, and or the church might have. I depend
Because like the hymns,
they have the gospel. I mean, if Hillsongs, maybe not.
No. Well, actually, Hillsong has some beautiful like the old school Hillsong is like crazy like chord changes, like super melodic.
Okay, then
stuff.
the gospel.
Yeah, the gospel, like the old school gospel, kind of gives me that as well.
Okay, cool, yeah.
But
okay,
I mean, you guys as well, like Angra stuff. Like,
but I always think like the Brazilian pop music that plays in the radio, maybe not much your generation, maybe a little bit before, was. The harmonies are so sophisticated.
Like
with
who?
Gilberto Gil, Caetano.
Yeah.
Those Djavan.
Well, Djavan for sure. Yeah. All these three, I believe, like from all these three guys, I'll probably like listen more like of Djavan.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Djavan.
Yeah. Cool stuff. And well, thanks a lot. Now we're gonna just jump into the Portuguese section.
Portuguese talk now.
The Palmeiras não tem mundial. Me conta, você sabia que eu palmeirense, mas
palmeirense
tipo,
brabo.
Eu não sei nada de futebol mais, eu já soube. Depois de uma hora eu desencanei. Mas o primeiro jogo de futebol que eu fui, lembrando agora, foi do Palmeiras.
Palmeiras de São Paulo?
Não, foi Palmeiras. Não. Meu pai me levou, era tipo moleque, foi Palmeiras e Portuguesa no Pacaembu. Porque eu morava lá, né? Morava pertinho do Pacaembu, do estádio.
Sei.
E aí eu lembro. A gente foi na torcida do Palmeiras, né?
Que ano foi isso?
Sei lá, tipo, anos 80.
Era criança.
Não, 80, sei lá, 79, sei lá, que não jogava.
Massa demais.
E eu lembro de sair do estádio e a gente morava perto, minha família morava perto do Palmeiras, então eu era sócio do Palmeiras. Do clube.
Que massa.
Eu era sócio do Palmeiras por pouco tempo, né? Depois, sei lá, não dava pra
Parque Antártica.
Parque Antártica, quando não tinha o
Allianz Parque,
obviamente.
Né?
E eu ia lá, tipo, nadar, fazer alguma coisa assim.
Massa demais.
E aí podia ir no... Mas aí eu já torcia pro São Paulo, porque senão de meu pai levar no Palmeiras é porque era o jogo que tinha ali perto pra levar criança, entendeu? Não era que ninguém era palmeirense não ali.
Que
nem português.
Cara.
Aí eu lembro que eu ia, sei lá, ia nadar lá
Tava rolando o jogo.
Não, o jogo não, mas rolava o treino. Porque era tipo segunda-feira de manhã, entendeu?
Entendi.
Aí tava rolando o treino, você podia sentar na arquibancada e ficar vendo os caras treinando, entendeu?
Demais,
eu lembro que eu sentava lá, ficava vendo os caras treinando, era um pouco mais futebol, sei lá quem era o jogador na época.
Sim.
Faça a mínima ideia. Era na época quando São Paulo ganhava Mundial, né? Sabe assim? Você ia lá para Tóquio, ganhava.
Sei,
91 já, mais ou menos nessa época. Assim, do Raí, do Miller, essa galera.
Época boa. Então, Cafu tava no Palmeiras, provavelmente.
Não, Cafu.
Ele joga no São Paulo antes, né? Pra Palmeiras,
exatamente.
Então.
Ele aprendeu tudo ali no São Paulo. Até depois,
eu conheço mais a época do Palmeiras de 90, 80.
Da Parmalat.
Era Parmalat.
Então, isso é um pouquinho antes, ou meio que nessa época aí. Quando eu ia no cara do sócio.
Sócio
meu irmão jogava vôlei lá no Palmeiras. Só que era perto, era só porque era perto, não era porque tinha nada de palmeirense da família, não.
Eu me sinto um jogador
Você é um
frustrado.
palmeirense que mora longe, cara. Tipo, que time que tem em Campo Grande?
Tem o Operário.
Olha
tem
só.
o Sene.
Mas aí, tipo, só sofrimento, né?
Não, tipo, não tem nem série, velho. Quer dizer, desculpa, eu não sei, galera aí de Campo Grande, eu não vou saber dizer. Mas no Mato Grosso do Sul, assim, acho que a maioria lá é flamenguista. Depois acho que tem muito corintiano, Flamengo, Corinthians, e aí vai São Paulo, tipo mais ou menos como segue, assim. Mas tem muito flamenguista lá, e Corinthians, assim, em todo lugar, né?
Todo lugar, entendi.
Mas eu sou, acho que um jogador frustrado.
Você queria
assim.
ser jogador de bola?
Meu pai queria muito que eu fosse, né? Só que, não ia ter como, minha estrutura não aguenta isso. Só que eu adoro jogar, velho. Não, pô, hoje não dá. Magricelinho assim não dá.
Hoje em dia, né? Mas não tem uns magricelinhos. Mas tinha uns magricelinhos, não tem uns magricelinhos?
Não tem porque...
Mas os caras que são magricelinhos, os caras tomam bomba e ficam fortes. O Ronaldo
então, mas aí tem uns que
ficou...
aguentam. Por exemplo, tipo, o Kaká...
Será que tomou bomba?
O Kaká era pequenininho, teve que se fortalecer, rebentou o joelho, nunca mais foi mesmo.
É bom.
Isso
Ronaldo
é
também, né?
Tipo assim, o próprio Neymar. Neymar ainda né? Fininho, assim, né? Mas, pô, eu gosto demais, cara. Hoje eu acho que os meus hobbies favoritos é com certeza jogar futebol, tênis de mesa.
De falar, tênis de mesa.
Tênis de
ping-pong.
mesa foi
pode falar
aqui,
ping-pong porque fala tênis de mesa, cara. É mais chique.
É tipo chamar o motociclista de motoqueiro, entendeu? O ping-pong é a mesma coisa, assim.
Porque ping-pong.
Eu não sei,
tipo,
só que
tênis
você
de mesa, porque fica mais...
Tem que ser, mas é mais formal.
Forma erudito, assim, mais...
Mas foi a minha atividade pandêmica, velho. Eu tô treinando 2 vezes na semana. Agora não, né? Por conta
então, tipo, Olimpíada...
Iria fácil.
Olimpíada o quê? Olimpíada 2024 vai ser a próxima? Onde que vai ser a próxima? Que era para ser 2020. Paris?
Eu acho que é Paris.
Você vai estar lá contra a China? Brasil contra a China.
Vai ser eu, Hugo Calderano e Gustavo Tsuboy no time da...
são os caras... Eu não sei nem os caras.
Os sucessores do Hugo Yama, sim.
Do Hugo Yama,
Pô,
ele foi medalhista, né?
Cara, não, ele não chegou.
Mas ele era...
O Hugo... Acho que o máximo que o Brasil tinha chego foi nas oitavas. Agora a gente conseguiu chegar nas quartas com o Calderano. É difícil, cara. O chinês é imbatível.
Imbatível, né?
Mas é legal, porque o Brasil tá numa fase boa de tênis de mesa, porque eu acho que dos 10, tem um brasileiro. Tem um brasileiro no top 10. Isso nunca aconteceu. Se eu não me engano.
E você quer chegar no top 10 também?
Vou abandonar a guitarra e vou só treinar tênis de mesa.
Agora,
sério mesmo.
Os guitarristas que estão vendo aqui... Não, sério.
Qual que é a tua atividade? Você faz o quê?
Não,
velho?
sério, tipo, cara, treinar tênis de mesa é bom pra caramba pra treinar, vai te ajudar na guitarra, cara.
Ajuda, porque é muito movimento rápido.
É muito rápido, cara, você tem que responder rápido a uma ação do outro.
E tem uma questão de timing também, porque se você dá errado, se você, tipo, antecipa ou atrasa demais, você perde.
Aí você não pode tocar... Tipo,
exatamente, os hits tem que ser
tem que ser no metrônomo, certinho.
Senão ferrou.
É um metrônomo, você dorme com aquele barulho. Não, mas eu tô falando a coisa da reação, né? Tipo, o cara te dá o cara joga um acorde e você reage rápido no improviso. Ou você pensa podia fazer tal escala, ou sei lá, um arpejo, e você responde rápido, né?
Pois é.
E o ping-pong vai te dar essa agilidade mental, cara.
Pô, eu nunca parei pra pensar nisso, mas realmente, né? A gente pode contribuir isso pra isso.
Fora que você fica com aquele negócio. Eu tô imaginando, né? Tipo,
igual uma escala.
Tipo...
Mão direita aqui, né?
Também por causa disso aqui?
E fica fazendo a mesma coisa, né? Tipo assim, a questão eu digo assim, da consistência.
Eu teria um problema com isso, que eu sou canhoto, eu teria que jogar com a mão esquerda. E aí não ajuda na palhetada.
Bicho, isso é muito louco.
Não ajuda na palhetada, porque você sim, né? Você fica jogando assim e já tá na palhetada alternada ali, perfeito. O que eu ia falar? Eu tô falando, o lance de você ficar assim, ó, você vai ficar agora, tipo, à vontade, mudando de posição,
forma,
tá ali, ó.
Porque como eu ainda tô ausente...
Com naturalidade, sabe assim? De
sim.
ficar...
Porque ainda como eu tô ausente nas redes, e não tô postando mais vídeo nem nada, eu tô percebendo que, tipo, acho que não sei se agora isso é uma coisa do subconsciente ou sei lá o quê, mas por conta, talvez, de praticar bastante tênis de mesa nesses últimos dias, eu tenho buscado me aperfeiçoar mais em velocidade. Tanto é que agora eu só tô estudando as coisas dos metal, assim.
Não vai falar que vai tocar mais rápido ainda, né?
Que isso, mano.
Vai te ajudando, porque, tipo,
ajuda,
agilidade mental,
porque aí
né?
você quer fazer as coisas. Tanto é que agora eu tô, mano, pegando umas coisas de 7 cordas aí, querendo ver, explorar as coisas. Porque eu não sei se isso tem alguma coisa...
E não tá na social media, eu conto que te alivia. Não tá, tipo, não preciso postar 3 vídeos por semana, não sei o que, tal, tipo...
Cara...
Isso dá uma paz...
Então, a princípio não, porque eu fiquei muito inseguro, né? Tipo assim, caraca, eu percebi o quão dependente eu era. Não digo na questão, tipo, de vício, mas de, tipo... Caramba, mano, é onde as minhas conexões estão, entendeu? Tipo, eu converso lá com todo mundo, é onde as pessoas me viam e tal. E agora eu não tenho mais isso, vamos dizer assim, né? A princípio eu fiquei muito inseguro, medo, né? Falar, caraca, mas eu precisava, cara, por conta... Assim, ainda tô nesse processo de detox, vamos dizer assim. Porque, querendo ou não, eu meio que entrei numa jaula onde eu tava me sentindo muito pressionado comigo mesmo. Então, tipo, cada vez que eu postava qualquer coisa, todo mundo, e o álbum, velho, cadê? Ou tipo, pô, bicho, fazendo essa mesma coisa de novo. E aí,
mesmo, os caras falando disso.
Rola, né? Mas parece que agora eu tô só indo pro ponto crítico, mas não era só muito isso, mas era mais também de tipo, de eu ter que carregar uma responsabilidade que eu mesmo criei, de manter o público atualizado com as minhas coisas, com esse legado de vídeos que eu tava postando o tempo todo, entendeu? Então, pra mim, isso foi um pouco bom, tipo, ter me desvinculado dessa pressão, dessa obrigação, o compromisso de ter que postar as coisas. Entendi que, tipo, não, mano, vai cuidar da saúde, vai pensar...
Exato, e agora você tá aqui no camp fazendo as coisas legais pra caramba e
tem
independente,
sido...
né?
Exato, tem sido algo muito, como que eu posso dizer, tipo assim, um refresh mesmo, né, cara? Tô renovado mesmo, assim, de estar aqui, ver você tocando, ver os meninos aí e tal, é demais, cara.
Muito bom demais.
É meio que como eu posso dizer, não é overdose a palavra certa, a gente te sobrecarrega de novo, porque são 4 dias intensos só disso aqui,
sim,
né? Mas é demais, é importante a gente ver todo mundo, pô, tá no palco com você, a gente nunca tocou junto, cara. Então pra mim foi tipo, honra demais, velho. Então assim, é muita história.
E os caras pediram pra gente fazer o negócio, a gente tem que fazer algum dia, né? Agora sem outra vez.
Pois
A gente toca aquela
Liquid Times.
Aquela.
Tem que rolar. Mas pô, Kiko, obrigado. Peraí, foi um soquinho, né?
Aê, meu.
Valeu aí, gente.
Valeu.
Obrigado.